What do we have here? This is the Russian Su-34 fighter bomber, which Russia lost today during the training flight, and this is its last video filmed by eyewitness. So the nose landing gear is down, however there is no main landing gear. Strange. Could it be a malfunction? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the nose gear is down, the main landing gear on the right hand side almost down, like on the halfway, and there is no visibility of the left hand landing gear. Hello my friends and welcome. My name is Dennis and this is the latest update from Ukraine. Today we have some awesome news coming. I already told you about this one. Sadly, we don't have the image of the exact crash landing, but what we know that Russia confirmed this aviation accident to happen. The Russian Air Force lost not just the airplane but also one of the pilots. It's better to say navigator. So there are two crew members. One is active pilot and the other just nearby is navigator, also responsible for weapons. Why am I sure that it is Su-34? Because it has kind of the big hump because of the equipment there, because of two pilots who are sitting nearby, and also it has the long tail, I would say. So on this video, both of those features are clearly visible, so huge hump near the cockpit and long tail, so it's longer than on Sukhoi 27. So at first it was reported that it was Sukhoi 27, but no, this is Sukhoi 34, and this information about the loss was confirmed even by the Russian channels. According to the latest data coming, crew ejected the airplane, but navigator was not lucky. He landed to some of the very bad side. What could it be? Like a swamp, lake, a yard with an angry dog? Well, anyways, he is kaputted. The location where it happened is Nizhegorod Oblast of Russia. There's some sort of the military airfield. There are tons of those in territory of Russia. Guys, I think it's the general problem now in Russia to obtain reliable spare parts to maintain not just the Western-made commercial airplanes, but also their own made. For those fighter jets, by the way, they also need some of the components made in Western country. You might recall the scandal with the French Thales company, which supplied some of the CRTs displays, control displays, to Russia via Kazakhstan. So the scheme was uncovered by journalists. So it's very important, my friends, what I do here, as well as my colleagues, YouTubers who are supporting Ukraine in their videos, and the other official media. The problem with the landing gear is kind of the rare occurrence, I would say, because usually you should have at least alternate emergency landing gear system. On some airplanes you have even three, like main, alternate and manual. Then they just drop down, but it looks like here the failure was really big one. Alright guys, and now we have the special video published by Ukrainian military intelligence. This is the Beaver drone, which has been launched to target some of the Russian infrastructure. Where? Well, in Crimea. You may see the Russian raiders, which they use for the air defense. It is happening very often. This is the coast of Crimea actually. And again, Russian defense. Russia again tries to shut it down, but drone continued the operation. Oh, some of the Russian soldiers running there. And what we have here is the Russian Su-30 fighter jet. It's very hard to tell whether drone was successful here. It appears, guys, that the drones, after all, are very hard to control. I mean, Beaver drones at the low altitude, so with FPV drones, I saw more precision. I guess this airplane, Sukhoi Su-30, the one you see over here, I guess it was not targeted after all. I think they cut this video here because the strike was before the airplane was reached. But anyways, Ukraine is modernizing its drones. They use modern-day technologies, and some of the strikes were successful, and there will be more percentage of the successful missions in the future. Kind of the important facility was hit in Izhevsk city of Russia. Guys, it's not a civilian infrastructure, not the random residential buildings, no, this is Izhevsk factory, which is producing very important components, sophisticated ones for the Russian air defense and for drones. This is the facility itself, we have the picture, so the strike was really successful, and it is located 1,300 kilometers away from Ukraine. That's why Ukraine used long-range Luty drones. Let me show you. Nice. a classical long-range Luty drone made by Ukraine. It looks like Bayraktar TB2, but it's a little smaller, able to carry between 30 and 50 kilograms of TNT, or it's better to say payload. You know what? I see a new modification of Luty. Before they used to fly with landing gear, and now I don't see a landing gear. So it could be a retractable landing gear or landing gear which disassembles after takeoff, or those drones are now being launched from platforms like Shahed drones. I would say it could be even more convenient because in this case they wouldn't need any sort of the runway. Yeah, this Russian army facility is no more, and we have the report about it from Russia Today. Thank you, Russia Today, for showing us those fantastic images. Well, kind of the big loss for Russia, because yesterday Ukraine kaboomed the headquarters of the Russian military command in Donetsk. This guy was zeroed by Ukrainian cruise missile strikes. What cruise missiles were used? Well, actually, I'm still trying to gather this information. Looks like Scalp or Storm Shadow, because Ukraine doesn't have others, but Ukraine could have used Neptune modernized missiles as well. Well, anyways, this was the commander of the 8th Guards Combined Russian Army of the Russian Forces, Ruslan Goryachkin, Colonel. He was off yesterday in Donetsk, so he's not the commander of the regiment, he's not the commander of the battalion, he was the commander of the joint group of those battalions, regiments, army, the group of the big forces. Roughly 100,000 soldiers could be in one of the Russian army groups. And colonel is also a good rank for that. It depends on the previous experience of particular individual. Well, guys, judging on the attitude of the Russian military command towards their own soldiers and how they use those soldiers in those stupid mid-wave attacks, maybe Russian soldiers are happy about what happened to their commander. Yeah, it's hard to say, but I'm almost sure about it. Alright guys, let's go back to Kaboom news. We have more of them today. So near Grozny it happened. There was the drone strike on some of the oil reservoir facility. Chechen channels reported. Fire broke out following the blast, but we don't have like the real evidence of the drones which were flying to hit this facility. Usually you have those kind of the videos, photos, but here's just the result. So maybe someone smoked at the wrong place. Classical. Plus, Ukrainian General Staff Command reported about the kaboom of the oil refinery facility in Saratov Oblast, Russian Federation. We don't have like the visual confirmation, waiting for the satellite images at least, but this is coming from the very high officials. I mean, this information, so I would trust it for now, but in a few days I'm gonna confirm it, and if you'll have time I'll tell you. But what I might tell you, my friends, that Ukraine started to hit Russian oil refineries and other energy facilities once again, at least in Grozny, in Saratov. And just recall the huge jet fuel storage in Saratov, which was hit like maybe 3 weeks ago. Well, actually Zelensky told that there were negotiations between American side, Russian and Ukrainian one to stop attacking energy infrastructure. But after Russia struck the Kremenchuk oil storage of Ukraine, there was a huge fire actually, and the Ukraine lost lots of the fuel. Ukraine just has to renew the strikes. So this part of those negotiations just failed. And I would say negotiations themselves are not possible, at least right now, that the Russian economy is not deeply suffering. Yeah, it's suffering, but there is still no huge crisis in Russia. Yeah, we're gonna speak about those potential variants for the crisis in Russia in this video later on. Alright, now let's speak about the Russian trains. Ukraine regularly hit those in Zaporizhia region. Guys, I still do not understand why Russia sent those trains through Zaporizhia region. Well, maybe to reinforce their military group in Kherson Oblast and in Zaporizhia, but once there was the train going to Crimea through occupied territories, it's complete nonsense. Just let me show you the map. Let's take any sort of the map, for example, Deep State. So they have the railroad across the Kerch Bridge to Crimea, but sometimes they use the railroad over here, which is very slow and unfinished. You have to go to every small city, small, big cities, including Melitopol. But mostly, yeah, they send their trains to supply their groups in Zaporizhia and Kherson, because Russia is the train army. The aviation aviation transportation in Russia is very weak, and they do not risk to use their Ilyushin-76 transport planes very close to Ukrainian airspace. That's why they continue to send those trains. I just don't understand why not to send a train via Kerch Bridge in Crimea to the same Kherson and Zaporizhia. It's more safer. But for us, it's good that they decide to go via Mariupol, Melitopol. It's awesome. And you see here that Ukraine strikes the rails also, so Russian trains are forced to stop, and Russia also has to send their maintenance to renew everything, and by the time the train is out there, it has been hit by drones mostly, I guess. As you may see, it's not the passenger train, all of the carriages carry cargo. Because those carriages are open, maybe Russia is selling Ukrainian coal to the third countries. But sometimes they carry military vehicles, they carry fuel, and I already showed you some of the videos how Ukraine kapoots those trains. And here, as usual, guys, I want to share my thanks to Patreon supporters and also channel members. Guys, because of you, I'm filming videos almost every day. And guys, if you want to support the job that I do here, you're very welcome to my Patreon. The link for it is in the video description right below. Thank you so much for maintaining my motivation. If you don't have opportunity to support me in that way, you may just press your like to this video and subscribe for the channel, because that is how you also help to propel this video across the YouTube platform. Thank you so much for it as well. Wow, a Russian Shadow Fleet oil tanker Villamora exploded a few days ago in Mediterranean Sea. Oh my god. Well, here they specify that the kaboom happened in a technical compartment where the engine is located, so it's not like the entire kaboom of the ship, of this vessel, so there is no oil spillage. Tanker is registered in Marshall Islands, which is the offshore territory. Yeah, it's the usual stuff to register vessels in offshore, so you pay less taxes and it's hard to check your business. Russia does it very smart, I would say, to avoid sanctions, so they make some sort of the company abroad, a single company for a single vessel, and they register the vessel in offshores. Also, they may close operator company in a couple of days, open the new one for every sort of the operation. They may do this stuff for any kind of the contract, so it's not forbidden thing. So vessel may change everything, name, country, company, very fast. That's how Russia is very successful in avoiding those sanctions, because you simply cannot check all of those companies out there. Right, and here we have the marine map. This is the place of the accident, the kaboom, which happened in the engine compartment. Probably there was the blackout of the vessel, and later on it was towed to Greece. And by the way, European Union countries continue to purchase lots of the Russian fossil fuels. This year, Europe started to import more of the Russian gas. Some reports stated that even by 20% more compared to 2024. This is the projectile purchase. Those European energy companies are saying that they have a long-lasting contracts with Russia. They cannot refuse not to pay for the Russian gas. Otherwise, Russia will demand a compensation and they will sell their gas elsewhere to the other countries. But guys, it's not possible, not easy at least, because first of all, Ukraine cut its tube for the sales of the Russian gas, thankfully, so Russia is forced to use the LPG terminals, so the gas is being transported by ships. The same thing as with the United States of America, but there are not many ports which may process the LPG gas. Yeah, there are some ports in China, but China already has its export from different countries, like Qatar, for example. So yeah, according to the initial report, which was published in February 2025 this year, a few months ago, Russia may gain 237 billion euros, or $257 billion. So this is the mistake. It says that it is USD after all, and this is euro. So if there are new sanctions applied, Russia may lose 20% of those money. But as we know, Slovakia and Hungary, they're blocking the package where those measures are included. I mean, 18th package of the European sanctions applied on Russia. So they're letting Russia to earn more money, like 20% more, but our other partners, they continue to purchase Russian gas and Russian oil sometimes. Again, guys, we're speaking about $250 billion, 250 per year. It is almost equal to all of the Russian frozen assets out there in Europe and the USA combined. So the question is, what the fuck is happening? Because Europe supplies more funds for Russia than it uses to support Ukraine. At the same time, Ukraine is defending against the possible aggression of Russia on the European and NATO countries. We're speaking about, first of all, Baltic countries. So something is not fitting together here, right? And I hope you agree with me. Like, we may have different attitude towards Donald Trump's administration. We may have different attitude towards those Arabic countries like Saudi Arabia, Qatar, or Central Asian Turkmenistan. But those countries are a robust alternative for the real threat for Europe. At least Qatar is not telling on its national TV that it's going to attack Europe with nukes on Russia. You'll see it on their TV shows. Plus, German intelligence and other intelligence services of Europe, they say that Russia is going, like it has the plans, to move their forces to Belarus and to start the special military operation on territory of Baltic countries. Estonia was mentioned. Finland, right at the border, Russia is building new bases out there. So it's the real military threat, and Europe continue to finance the Russian war machine. Nice. Guys, in this case, the Russian economy will never suffer and the war will never stop. Yeah, Russian economy has problems, but with the help of China, India, we always say about it. But also, it appears like, again, I will show you this number. This is like official document. You can download the press release. This is the PDF file, and this sum, this is, oh my God, annual earnings per year. Wow. That's too much, guys. Too much. It's more than the Russian military budget by $100 billion. So Russia financed roughly $150 billion into its army this year. Maybe even a little less, but with this, you may finance one more Russian army, almost. And guys, I'm very happy that at least here on YouTube I may speak about it. It's my freedom of speech and I tell the things how they really are. I think that European political system needs reforms. They have those kind of the oligarchs, energy billionaires who have connections with Russia, and their idea is just to earn billions for them, for their families, and if the war starts, they may evacuate themselves personally. They're multimillionaires or billionaires, and they may easily leave their countries if something happens, like just across the border towards Switzerland, because no one will attack Switzerland. Private jet full of money, Frankfurt, Zurich flight, and we're good to go. That's their goal, guys. They don't care what might happen to their countries. Absolutely. They're a transnational corpus, energy management sector, so yeah, you understand what I mean, yeah? So then people say, oh, Ukraine has corruption, Ukraine has corruption. Every country has corruption, especially European country at the highest level possible. And this is the freaking security problem of EU. That's why, guys, I'm saying that the war will continue for years. Probably you understand me. Yeah, sorry, I put too much attention on this topic, but I think it's very important to speak about it. Alright, and now let's speak about our American partners. Pentagon halting some promised munitions for Ukraine. According to the article published by Politica, United States are taking back the promised military packages, which include the crucial air defense munition for Patriot systems for air-to-air missiles, which could be used for Ukrainian F-16s, artillery shells, and many more. United States say that they need those themselves. Some of the munition is not yet being produced, but was ordered for the military factories in the United States, especially for Ukraine. So there was the agreement, and now United States say, fuck you, we need it ourselves. But you know the stockpiles in the United States, and you know how much munition they may produce a lot, let's say. It's the biggest army, it's the biggest military production. They have more than $1 trillion, record military budget this year, and they're not in a war with someone. I mean, not in an active frontal war. They're not been bombed. What Iran did is just a circus, which was previously agreed with United States of America, we understand it. They just sent a few of their B-2 bombers to bomb the hell out of the Iranian nuclear facilities, but they need munition that was agreed for Ukraine. Ukraine is under attacks every freaking day, every freaking night. Russia sends tons and tons of the drones, like hundreds of those each night, more than Iran sent to strike Israel. And America takes munition out, the crucial one to protect Ukrainian civilians. Yeah, guys, I see we have kind of the reliable allies out there who want probably Russia to win. Yeah, I mean Trump's administration and those oligarchs in the European Union. That's why, guys, I didn't want Trump to be elected in USA, because it really harms Ukraine, it really harms democracy elsewhere. And you know, actually, United States is on a very slicky road now in the future development. I mean, what is happening now may influence the country for decades ahead. And here I'm not even speaking about Trump. Trump will be gone in 3.5 years, maybe even earlier. But the events which he is triggering, it may definitely cause huge problems in USA. I hope it will not happen, but Trump's idiocracy may backfire. You probably know already this stuff, like alligator Alcatraz. It went viral out there on X, on Twitter, and elsewhere in media. USA built a special prison for immigrants on this island with a runway, and Donald Trump went for official opening of this facility. It has nothing to do with the problem of immigration or illegal immigration out there in the United States. It is just PR of Donald Trump, nothing more, nothing less. They put crocodiles, so it's like a Middle Ages, I would say, or slavery times in USA. It's the pure hatred towards humanity. Yeah, they say that they'll detain only criminal illegal immigrants out there, but we understand how ICE behaves towards every immigrants, even legal immigrants. They don't simply care. They deport everyone, even to Salvador, and they'll imprison even families out there. Inside it looks like a prison. Indeed, some of the cages, meshes. Well, it's not the robust mesh, I would say. Well, actually, in the European Union, there are similar camps for refugees. Then the war had started in Ukraine. Many people went to European Union countries, and there was not enough place to accommodate everyone at once. And they started to build those kind of the facilities without meshes and cages, actually. But inside it was very, very similar, with no personal space at all. So if I was without any money, I would not be able to film any sort of the videos. But in USA, they did it like a prison on the island. Yeah, that's their story. The difference that in Europe you can leave this camp if you didn't like it, if you have enough funds to rent an apartment, or if you don't want to stay in the country any longer. But in USA, they'll drag everyone from the streets, I mean illegals or maybe even legals, and put out there. So it's very dangerous to attend USA right now as the foreigner. I wouldn't go there. And this is the official page of the White House, you see. A good illustration, actually, of ICE. There are definitely like angry crocodiles out there. Alligator Alcatraz. Do people really hate immigrants like that in the United States of America? Do they really support that stuff? I don't think so. Like, there's the part of the marginal community, they're always crazy, but majority of people, I think, they don't support this stuff. It reminds me idiocracy. And even if they pack this facility with just criminals, it will not make America safe again, because there are many more criminals in USA and also United States citizens.
They're not new to our country, they're old to our country. Many of them were born in our country. I think we ought to get them the hell out of here too. You want to know?
So yeah, he is speaking about American citizens. He wants to deport American citizens or to detain them in those centers. He openly speaks about it. Like criminals, we're gonna deport those if we think that those are criminals. In his wet dreams, he would deport everyone who doesn't like Donald Trump. Yeah, it's the airplane video, really bad audio out there. Donny here speaks about Elon Musk. So reporter asked, are you going to deport Elon Musk? Trump will have to take a look. We might have to put Doge on Elon. You know what Doge is? The monster that might have to go back and eat Elon. Wouldn't that be terrible? He gets lots of subsidies. Elon Musk already responded on that. So tempting to escalate this. So tempting, but I will refrain for now. Well, here Elon does the same mistake as Prigozhin, not trying to escalate, at least publicly. Well, it's not the same scale as in Prigozhin's case, but kind of the similar idea. Donald Trump, Elon, they were such a good friends, and now they're the worst enemies. American political life is like one more episode of the Game of Thrones. Yeah, indeed. And guys, again, returning to the military support of Ukraine, it seems like the current White House administration doesn't want to support Ukraine in military. There were attempts from Ukrainian diplomacy to explain Donald Trump that this support, at least with air defense, is crucial for Ukraine, but they're not listening. They're taking the most precious stuff from Ukraine. It doesn't mean that Ukraine will lose this war. No, not at all. But it will cause more damages to Ukrainian civilian infrastructure. So more chaos with supplies, with communication, energy. Why Donny does this stuff, for me, guys, it's not understandable. He's just playing in Russian favor. He's on the Russian side. If he does this stuff, it's vivid evident that it is happening like that. And here we have the list. It's in Ukrainian, but I'll translate it for you. So tens of the Patriot missiles will not be supplied to Ukraine, thousands of 155mm artillery shells, more than 100 Hellfire missiles, more than 250 high-precision Gimlers missiles, which are used in HIMARS systems. Dozens of Stingers will not be supplied to Ukraine. They do not specify the number, but many of the air-to-air aim missiles, which could be used on F-16s, plus many of the grenade launchers. And we are here, guys, speaking about not that much of the ammunition for United States Army. If we speak about, again, the scale of the United States Army, is the United States Army so weak that they need 250 of those Gimlers missiles? And what about grenade launchers, artillery shells? Is the United States at war, ground war with someone? Do they plan a ground war and they need those dozens of the units? Do they take it from other countries as well? Do they gather everything to start something big? They really struggle probably if they need those dozens of the shells. So yeah, it's nothing more than playing on the Russian side against Ukraine. The current White House administration is the total idiocracy, guys. And as far as I have this channel, I'll tell about it openly. I'll mock Donald Trump with everything he does against democracy in the world. Not just in Ukraine. He's the total scumbag. For me, guys, he's very similar to Putin. He's not like direct enemy to Ukraine. He didn't start this war. He didn't send his army to Ukraine. But because of his actions, many more Ukrainians are losing their lives, also civilians. And what is happening right now, then Ukraine asks for more air defense, but instead the United States cuts the ammunition supplies for Patriots, crucial systems. Well, guys, Trump is pro-Russian and fuck Trump. I just hope that one day he'll be at this wonderful resort with his friends alligators swimming around. And actually, guys, our world is so unpredicted that it could even happen. Yeah. It could. Meanwhile, Russians are happy about it. For example, Kirill Dmitriev, who was negotiator from the Russian side at the initial stage with Vitkov, representative from the United States, well, he mentioned that the step which United States done show the real opportunities of West to support Ukraine. They also prioritize American defense policy. So Russians here do not say, thank you, United States, for cutting the military support of Ukraine. They say that West is weak. They are not able to support Ukraine. West is weak. We are strong. We're gonna go. We're gonna fight in Ukraine. That's the message which is coming from Russian officials, main Russian officials. Guys, Latvia, a very small country with a very small army, but it is willing to support Ukraine with whatever it has. For example, 42 of the new Patriot 6x6 APCs, together with ammunition and other weapons, are going to be sent to Ukraine soon. 42 of the freaking vehicles by the time Latvia is very close to Russia. But they understand that it's better to support Ukraine right now than to fight with the Russians later. But America, multi-billion-dollar army, trillion-dollar army, they crucially need those munitions which they're supposed to send to Ukraine. You know, to protect America, the country with the biggest army already. Guys, this is wild. Yeah, so many topics today, my friends, isn't it? And here are Russians, Russian citizens who were detained in Azerbaijan. Azerbaijan filmed the videos of how they behave with those Russian citizens who were allegedly accused of drug dealing. They were taking packages, as they say, from Iran. So it's one more spiral of the confrontation between Azerbaijan and Russia. The confrontation is really hard out there. Well, Russians, in their turn, they detained Azerbaijani representatives out there in Russia, the representative of the Azerbaijani diaspora, but later on the same day, the guy was released from the Russian custody. The other guy was taken from his car on the street, also was released, as official reports say. In its turn, Azerbaijani media published a very interesting video. They say that they received this particular video from the Russian officer, and they say here that it is the exact video of how Russians shut down the Azerbaijani jet.
Огонь, говорю!
I would say that the image is real. It is real, based on how this machine was shaking. This is Panzer 1S, exactly the type of the system I said was used against Azerbaijani jet. And here they have the letter from the officer of the Russian army. Probably he already fled Russia. And judging, guys, on what was said on this video, like the conversations between those military Russian soldiers, operators of the systems, the data is the same. So azimuth 338, distance 7 kilometers. The altitude kind of low, but we understand that the airplane was approaching the runway. There were 2 of the go-arounds. It is really hard to tell whether this message is real, but the video is real. What is there? Only investigative committee may find out. Yeah, I read this letter. I know Russian, so I can tell you that the operator of the system received the order from command to fire missile to a particular target. At the same time, it was hard to identify the target visually because of the fog, and indeed it was kind of the hazy, foggy conditions that day. So the operator reported about the target. He wasn't able to identify it. He called to his commander, and commander told fire 2 of the times, and they fired. Was it an intentional strike on commercial jet? It could be. Because command, they know more information. They also should receive the data about the commercial traffic in the area. So if they commanded to shut down the airplane, it could be done intentionally. Kim Jong-un, what the fuck do you expect to happen to your soldiers? Then you send those to fight against Ukraine. But now they have this Day of Sorrow concert praising Kim Jong-un and Russians, I guess, with North Korean... no, those are North Koreans in Russian uniform. What is more cringe, guys, that they're going to send more. According to the data coming from many of the media services, Kim Jong-un is going to send roughly 6,000 soldiers, and they want to deploy them not in Russia but in Ukraine this time. So yeah, Russia continued its cooperation with North Korea, and I would tell you more. Russia obtained more artillery shells from North Korea than Ukraine from all of the allies. From all of the allies, my friends. This is unimaginable. Roughly 8 million artillery shells already been sent to Russia from North Korea. Wow. So autocracies, they have good cooperation, I would say. Moreover, Russia moved a part of the production of the Shahed drones and Panzer 1S air defense systems on territory of North Korea. So for them to be more safe, I guess. Or maybe they just shared their technologies with North Korea. But anyways, Russia is no longer dependent on Iran to produce Shahed drones. Guys, this video is already pretty much long, so I'm gonna update you about the front lines in my next video. And now, please don't forget to press your huge like, to this video. By doing so, you help me a lot. And also don't forget to subscribe for the channel. That is how you boost this video in YouTube algorithms. I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are and have a great time.